think we had 5 drives in a row where we had to punt. So, we had a couple opportunities at the running back spot that we didn't finish the job on some of the routes. So that's something we've got to get better at. We obviously turned the ball over down in the red zone, and we got stopped at the 1. So when you look at those 2 things right there, that's 11 points that just those 2 drives. And then if we could have gotten one more drive out of those 5 and keep it going, it keeps your defense off the field, and who knows, we could have scored. So those are things that you just can't let happen. So we have to continue to work and be able to convert on those third downs so we don't have to punt. We can keep, again, it's a working where we help the defense out. Another 3 minutes off the clock gives them more rest. They can make more adjustments. So we just got to keep feeding off each other. But we put ourselves in position to have a chance at the end against a team that nobody thought in the country we would have a chance to beat.
When you have a coordinator change like Illinois' had, how much do you have to skew heavier toward just literally last week, or can you still sort of take the whole picture? How do you sort of work through that process?
That's a good question. I mean, we'll look at the whole body of work, but then we'll take into account last week. Into some of the statistical analysis. They were a little more aggressive last week, in their play calling. But, in terms of scheme and what they do, I mean, we know what they're going to do. It's just a matter of maybe some of the different down and distances, be prepared for, being a little more flexible. They'll have a new wrinkle for us probably, like they've had, all year, just like everybody does. So we'll have to be ready to adjust on that. But, they're going to be in man. They're going to be in cover 2. Some quarter stuff, and so we got to be able to win our man stuff, and then be able to obviously execute, in those critical down situations to keep drives going and get these plays we need.
When you have Scott played in that Tampa 2 kind of, does that, you guys all obviously know a lot of football, but does having some experience, people that have played in that system, does that help on staff, or does that give you some added insight to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, some of the different things that they'll do and their techniques and where they'll be landmark-wise and all that, I think can help us with our vertical passing game and underneath passing game. And, obviously with the running game, it is what it is. They're going to line up, and if they're too high, we're going to know they're in too high. They do a little bit of disguising, but for the most part, we'll know. But really, it's for helping our receivers and the other guys know where they're going to be dropping, so we can make sure our angles are correct in our passing game.
I had a recruiting question. Will the calendar work out next week where you'll be able to bring in a lot of the JUCO guys? I mean, will most JUCO guys be done playing next week? And is that kind of a weekend you're highlighting for Michigan State to bring in some of those top guys?
There'll be some guys we bring in. I mean, still, the thing we don't want to do is bring in 20 guys. You can't entertain 20 guys on a weekend where we have a huge senior day week, big game. We want to be able to get these guys, as many as we can, up to see our venue and everything. But also, you want to be smart and not, put ourselves in a position where we can't do a good job. So, we're evaluating that final weekend. Who will come up. I mean, there will be some opportunities potentially for some older guys to come up, but we still have to make sure we're smart in bringing and not overdoing it for us, because then you don't do a good job. I mean, we want them to see it, but we also want to do and sell what we have here with, the meetings and, all the different stuff that we have to get done on these official visit weekends during the season.
When you have a guy like Divine Zigbo who's closing in on 1,000 yards, I guess how important is that for the room and in these final games? Is that something that you take into consideration? Maybe give a guy an extra couple carries or something like that?
Well, number one, obviously, team first. And then number two, if there's an opportunity to where, hey, he's hey, coach, 20 yards away. I mean, I think there's some merit in trying to have that, because I think that's important, for our offense, for recruiting, for, everything like that. I think, since 2014 or whatever, I mean, I'm not a history guy, but something like that, we haven't had one. It'd be good. There's an element where, the room, wants to have that, but at the end of the day, if it comes down to winning the game, we're going to do whatever we got to do. We're not going to run the ball when we need to pass it if it's to get him 2 more yards. We're going to do what we got to do to win. But if there's an opportunity, that could probably happen. Yeah.
Hey, Troy announced that Miles is out for the year with a shoulder. Just long term, I mean, thoughts on that and kind of the setback that might be for him, and how and just how big of a blow that is to lose him here these final 3 games.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking more long term with him. He could have probably finished out, but the smart move probably is to get him fixed so then he can go through spring ball. So I mean, at the end of the day, the goal was to redshirt him. Yeah, it would have been nice to have played a couple more games, yes, but I think when you look big picture, we want to get him fixed now so he can be progressing and be hopefully ready to be able to do some things in spring ball. That way we can continue in his development. So it is what it is with him, but he got a lot out of this fall, even though he didn't get many reps. You saw on the one bubble pass, I mean, he's a kid that can run, and he's a guy that can definitely help us, down the road. He's a great kid, and we think he's got a good future with us.
Do the other guys in your room know that Divine's close to 1,000?
We don't talk about those things, but I mean, I'm sure that they can see things on the internet and all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, Divine first starts up front with our offensive line. Just keeps getting better and better, and then our receivers have been blocking, and obviously he's been running hard, and he's everybody's put him in position to be able to do that, along with JD and Stanley having a chance for some pretty good receiving marks. So, I think what at the end of the day is what this offense shows is there's opportunities for a lot of guys to be able to do a lot of things. And the more great players we get in, it'll even be that much better. This is just scratching the surface of where this thing's going to go. We just have to continue in our development at every position. That we got to go out and knock it out in recruiting and get some ballers up in here.
The reason I ask is it seems like you kind of have the room where guys would kind of enjoy other guys' success. You would get guys that, someone like Maurice, that would be really happy for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you look at Maurice. I mean, he's hit 400 yards-ish or whatever, and there's still 3 more games, opportunities for him to get, to have a really good freshman campaign. So our room is a room that everybody wants success for the other guy. Everybody was excited for Wyatt when he had some really good runs in the Bethune-Cookman game. So, I mean, that's the culture we want. That's the culture we have to keep creating. And then the next round of running backs that come in, that's going to be the talk, the first meeting that we have about not being selfish. Supporting the other guy, and we're not in it to get your stats. Now, if it works out, great, but we're trying to win games and put it to where it's a culture of everybody wanting the other guy to succeed, not, oh goodness, he's got 100 yards, where's my 100 yards? Because if you have that culture, then it's just a bad deal.